We have a guest that I have arranged. He is calling in from Mexico City. Hans Oellers is his name. Hope I enunciated that correctly. His website is projectlightsout.org. I want to thank his girlfriend Jennifer for helping to arrange this interview. And I'm a little distracted with all of the traffic next to the actual trailer where I parked. I just now realized how loud the trucks are. Maybe some of it's going to be picked up on the microphone. It just adds to the show. So we're going to be talking about his own journey in investigating solar storms, solar flares, and their influence over the Earth. Hans first started looking at climate change, and then he started looking more at the sun's effect. He also said on his website, it's when he started looking more at the sun and sharing information that a friend at NASA gave him that he saw his YouTube channel go down, making him wonder if perhaps some of that information that he shared was not meant to be shared with the public at that time. So with that, let's talk with Hans calling all the way in from Mexico City. Hans, how are you?
Okay, I'm fine. I don't know if the sound works now. We didn't have much time to check the sound. Can you understand me well?
Yeah, I believe that we have a very clear internet signal. How am I coming through?
Perfect. I hear you also excellent. Okay, first of all, thank you so much to have me on your show. I mean, it's a pleasure for me to, I also make my private transmissions, live streams and whatever, but it's excellent to be also with you guys, for example. So it's great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's good to be here as well. And one more thing I would add. It's a beautiful day with the sun shining over Portland. No geoengineering, a very clear blue sky. Very rare. So I made sure I got plenty of sun the hour before the show.
Yeah, same happened here in Mexico. I didn't see any, like they call it, chemtrails, etc. I mean, it's a perfect sky. It's warm. It's just beautiful day. Okay. Yeah. Ask me what you want to know. I have for sure a lot of good information.
When did you first start looking at the sun as a primary interest?
Oh, yeah. Look, it's a very funny story because I started Project Lights Out 2007, and I got hit by two hurricanes. One name is Emily, and the other was Wilma. At that time, I still lived in Cancun. So after that, I got the first time in touch with extreme nature. You know, there was also no electricity for a long time. Until they fixed all the cables and whatever, and I had time to be tranquil, to be myself, you know, out of the system a while, and just talking with neighbors, having a good conversation, and blah blah. So, I was researching in the first place about nature by itself, like recycling, climate change, global warming, what was at that time a very big topic, you know, after that movie with Al Gore, that Opinion, Truth, and whatever. I mean, now that movie is also in a big discussion, but today we don't talk about that global warming, we talk more about other things. So, but thanks of that movie, I became in touch with all these topics. So I was posting a lot about taking care of the planet and all these things, and I uploaded so many videos on my first YouTube channel. The name was Cancun Hans, and then one day I got an email from a NASA guy, and he told me, forget about all this what you're posting. There's something much.
One thing, Hans. We have an audio issue. I don't know if it's coming through on AFR's end.
I don't know.
It sounds like you're going through a windstorm.
Oh, that's funny.
It's getting quieter. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, I got an email. I got a lot of emails of many people. They say, you're fucking crazy, talking about this is not true and that. But the email from the NASA person made me think, because he told me, forget about the global warming and whatever, because anyway, that is a natural issue here. I mean, global warming, it's always happening on Earth. It's not just now, right now, that it's all in the news, etc. I mean, it even happens on other planets. So he told me, check out what's going on with the sun. I cannot give you much information because blah, blah, blah. So at that moment, I was thinking, the sun, okay, what's going on? And at that moment, I couldn't find much information on the internet because they didn't talk yet about solar storms and all these things. So the few things I found out, and also the tips he gave me, that solar storm can give a blackout to the whole planet, no electricity and stuff like that. He told me check out the Carrington effect, and that was almost all. Then I made a video. I uploaded it to YouTube, and guess what? The next time I logged into YouTube, the channel was gone. I mean, it was still not in the media about the solar storms. I was maybe, at least in Mexico, one of the first person who was talking about that. And it got censored, the whole channel disappeared. So, it passed some months, and then I saw the first time in Yahoo News that they were talking about the new solar cycle, that there will, or that it's very possible that we will get hit by one of those solar storms, and we will have an impact, that is 20 times more stronger than anything else, something like that. I don't have the news right now in front of me, but they were talking the first time in the official news that we are having, or we can have that kind of trouble with the sun. So then I posted it on Facebook, because I also use a lot of my Facebook to share all this kind of important stuff, and I was talking about that, and then many people also were checking out this, and also gave me more information. So I found some Facebook groups directly talking about the sun, updates every day, and I also share it every day. So every day when people logged into Facebook and checked my wall, they could see some updates, from this cycle. So and then I went from Cancun to Mexico City, because I couldn't do much on the beach, because of the beaches. I mean, there's no big offices where I can talk like with the government. So I made also contact here in Mexico City with the government to tell them about that. I told them, look, we are in danger. It could happen. It's like a Russian roulette. Maybe nothing happens, not now, not in 10, 20, 30 years, but there's a possibility. It happened 1859 with the Carrington effect. You can Google that. There are thousands of entries there. Even Wikipedia, you can read the whole story, what happened there. And and then I talked to the government here, because in Mexico we have a very, very big problem. The water, which is the most important thing that we need. If we don't have water, we are dead. We just have, I think, like 3 days we can survive without water. In Mexico, we don't have the water like in other countries. We need electricity pumps to pump the water into big water tanks, and then you can have it in your house. So when there's no electricity, there's no water, there's no life. So I told them, look, we need some changes here in the infrastructure of the water system, water towers, so that water works with pressure or whatever. And they told me it's not in our plans to make some changes here with that. We have other things to do. We want to build new highways and this and that. So I thought, we cannot even trust here in the government that they take care of us. I mean, if that happens, it's a nature thing what can happen any moment, let's say, because we cannot control the sun yet. So when that happens, then we are really in trouble, and the government, at least in Mexico, doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know what is in your country. What do you know about the solar storms?
Well,
do you get some information. Okay.
This is a very important topic that we're addressing, but I want to make sure everyone can hear you because I'm having a lot of interference. I don't know whether it's where the microphone is positioned or not, but it's pretty bad. Because what you're talking about is really important, but I think we need to correct this first because of the relevancy of the topic. Now, that's settled down. Say a few words.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I have a very, very good hearing. I don't know what it is.
Okay. Now we're good. For some reason, it was really there was a lot of interference for some reason. So solar storms, yeah. I first became aware of, I guess, the idea of the EMP or the solar EMP possibility in 2008. But what's always fascinated me more is the trends within the human species as far as the human biological response. Tomorrow I'm doing another show with Matthew Stein, and he's going to focus quite a bit on the grid portion of it, and that's also really important, but I'm also trying to understand more about the cycles themselves, the solar cycles, not just the 11-year, but these longer cycles of the sun. I'm still putting together some information that I've discovered over the years, but I have not been researching this as long as some other people that may have been looking at this for a few decades or that may have a deeper understanding of astronomy or astrology. So throwing this back in your corner, where would you like to go next?
Okay, the most important thing is that, we know already that can happen. Okay, but what people will ask is how can we survive that event, preparations and stuff like that, because, everybody is so stuck on their computers, on their iPhones and iPads and whatever, all the technology, and when this is gone, they are really like, what can I do for, what's going on, there's no music at that moment, there's no service, no elevators, nothing, nothing will work. So it's important that the people get prepared for that kind of event, which could happen any moment, maybe, I don't know, maybe this year, maybe next year, maybe in 100 years, but people have to go back to nature a little bit more, instead of watching all, funny movies, etc. Also watch, for example, tutorials how to plant a tree, or etc. Because we don't know anything, because we get everything in stores. We need something, we just go to a store and we buy it there, or we call by phone. Hey, my electricity is not working, and the electrician goes to your house and fixes it. But then, when we don't have any electrician at all, we cannot even call a service. There's no, the supermarkets will be first empty because the people will steal first, whatever. I lived that when I was in Cancun. The next day I wanted to go for some cigarettes in the store, and it was empty because people start to steal. And when they see that there's no electricity, no alarm, you cannot call the police, anything, they will start to steal what they can see. People are like this, and it has happened.
And this is why it doesn't make a lot of sense for millions of people to live side by side in this day and age. And so I live in Portland, Oregon, by the way, right now, which is in the state of Oregon, north of California. It's becoming one of the more populated parts of the planet. And many people are moving here from California, and there's not a lot of larger awareness as to what things could really realistically look like in 10 years, 20 years. Solar flare aside, just dealing with high population, there's no manufacturing, the economy is not very good, and rent is getting very, very expensive. And so if you add a solar flare scenario to something like that, it's rational to foresee a situation where there is cannibalism, where people are literally trapped in an area where they can't walk very far to get away from other people. And so that's the real danger that we live in today's society with these micro apartments, with dense living, with this new wave of architecture, this new way of urban living. And you combine that with the fact that in today's world, many people are in this mindset of being at war with each other, competing with each other, not working together cooperatively. So a large city is the last place that I would suggest anybody be for this potential event.
Exactly. What I can recommend to everybody who is listening to that, I mean, we are living now in a world of separation. I mean, I see that myself here in Mexico. When I immigrated to Mexico, you know, I'm German, originally born in Munich in Germany. So the first time, more than 20 years ago, there was really family reunions, friends made parties every week and whatever. And now everybody is just like a robot, like a zombie, working and running back home and living in his small space at home, and that's it. I mean, there's no physical or small physical contact. I mean, it doesn't. It's not like in the past that you are together with your friends. The only contact you have, it's the same thing. I mean, it's with Facebook inbox or messages. It's just electronical way. But if we don't have that, we don't have, in a few words to say, we don't have any personal contact at all. So what we should do is we should, with people we love, for example, with sisters,
discussing solar storms and our future. And with me today is Hans, calling in from Mexico City. How's that? Let's see how the sound is now.
Okay, I hope it's working. I have a great sound over here.
Okay, now you sound very clear. All the wind sound is gone. Whatever changed, that did it. So could you go back just about a few minutes to what you were saying before the break?
Okay, yeah. I mean, the important thing now is to be prepared. I mean, we cannot change solar storms or escape of it. I mean, if the sun is pointing at us, we will receive that impact, and there's no escape. So, but we can be prepared, and we have to do that as soon as possible, because time is so fast, and people are so busy and other issues, you know. So what I can recommend is, first, make contact with your people. I mean, with your best friends, with your family, whatever, and make a plan A and a plan B. For example, if there's a solar storm happening and you don't have electricity, that you know where to unite to see each other. You know, you can say, okay, if that happens, let's meet us at the church, or let's meet us in I don't know, in that place. So you're not alone, because if you're alone, I mean, people are looking, I mean, as more as people are, as stronger they are too, because there will be a lot of people also forming groups, and maybe those groups are bad groups, maybe those groups are people who will steal your things and whatever. I mean, there are even movies about that. If you just, I don't know, if you have TV or you download it for free, for example, the Revolution series, there were 2 seasons, you can see what happened after a blackout. There are movies like like the book of Eli, or I don't know what's the name. I mean, there's so many. Even Hollywood made movies, so sometimes I really even think if there's a blackout, maybe it even can can be man-made. You know, there are some weapons that can reach the same impact like a solar storm. I mean, it's possible. I mean, it's nature can do it, and people also can do it. So we have at least to be prepared just in case it's happening one day. And there are so many tips.
Absolutely. We're starting to get interference again. We don't know why, and we can't fix it. But we are starting to get interference again. It just sounds like a windstorm. Now it's gone.
Maybe the solar storm is happening right here.
Well, okay, there was news about a geomagnetic storm, and what I look at always is not the grid thing is very important, but I'm more interested on how human beings act and behave when there's a solar storm. Right. Fighting, drive-by shootings, drug addiction, alcoholism. but I have not yet seen anybody talk about this. And so from the alcoholism, from the drug addiction, to the fighting, to the violence, to mass migration patterns of humans moving from one place to another. You know, it seems like every solar maximum, we see all these people moving to Portland. And so there's just so many different... What do you think are some of the most important cycles to look at, or one of the most interesting that you've noticed when it comes to the solar flares?
Comes to the solar flares? Okay. There are people, they are sensitive, they have like a kind of headache or whatever. I mean, I never have felt anything strange on my body, so I don't know if it's really a solar storm, or maybe people are imagining that. I don't know yet how strong that can be, because I didn't feel anything yet, you know. But, I mean, now... many people, they were thinking because of the 2012 effect, you know, of the Mayans, when they say at the end of the war, or the end of, how you can say, the beginning of a new awakening, etc. I mean, what I feel personally is that people are getting more awakened anyway, because we know little by little that we cannot trust the mainstream media, that our presidents are not doing their job like they should do. We're getting controlled by the kind of new world order. Yeah, let's say the word. It's a new world order is already happening. I mean, Bush said it many years ago that he wants a new world order, and it's there, even if we don't see it. But everything is controlled. So I mean, but people are also. I mean, it's like nature. Nature wants always its healing itself, and there's something wrong. There's some, I don't know what it is, but there's some effect which try to recover the things. It's like, for example, you have a wound on your hand, you're bleeding, and automatically the body looks that it heals itself. Or if you are taking away trees and you get hurricanes, it's because nature looks where to fix the things. I don't know. I mean, sometimes it hurts if you make a mistake with the planet, and nature fixes it by its way, and there are many people dying because of the mistakes we do to the planet, you know. But I mean, what I see is that, and I see that in my friends also, because when I post something, they say, thanks so much for that. Now I see the things in a different way. Thanks for waking me up, or whatever. Other people, they're still sleeping, or they're in their comfort zone when they think, I'm happy like this. I don't want to know anything else. Like, for example, my brother has a great work in Germany. He has to get up at 4:30 in the morning. He just lives for working, let's say, and but he's happy like he lives. I mean, I cannot do that anymore, because I feel like a slave. You know, I want to live. I want to do something in my life. You know, and but you know, we have this kind of different people. One kind of people who just want money and power and getting more material. I mean, the materialism, or how you say, when you want more stuff and the newest things. And other people who think more nature and in love. You know, there's hate, love, there's night, there's day, there's dark, there's light. I mean, there's always positive and negative. So the whole universe is like an organism which always try to fix itself. So that is what I see in the people also, because people, we have good people, we have bad people, and the most important thing is that the good people have to stay together, because that is what the New World Order wants, the separation. You know, they want that the people are not anymore in love with each other, that they look for a lover, that they look for sex in another place, but they have still their partners at home. You know, I mean, you see so many people breaking up because of the what is happening in the world. You know, and we have to stay together and to advance and go nature. Don't believe too much in what we see on TV, because they are just brainwashing us. You know.
And during these periods where the sun's more active, they're really working to get the population fighting even more.
Right.
In hopes that someone will be out of balance and respond. So here we are now in 2015 in this extended solar maximum, a double peak solar maximum, right? And we see ISIS in the news and all these outrageous headlines with very little basis in fact, and people responding to it. But also, what a time to go out in the Middle East to stir up these things. And now there's talks about Iran again. Maybe there's going to be a war with Iran, or there's lots of stuff with Netanyahu in the news, Israel, and people get all pumped up about what Israel's doing and who's going to move next in Ukraine. What a time to have this happen in Ukraine, and what a time for North Korea. North Korea firing missiles out into the sea. So I believe that the heads of China, Russia, and the United States, and of course the European Union, that they're all serving the same agenda, and that they all are part of this 9/11 cover-up. Right. And that these false flag events that we see that are manufactured by the New World Order tend to occur during solar maximums. I have never heard anyone else speak about this issue ever in the alternative media. I just discovered Alexander Chavinsky's work in 1917, and I noticed that 9/11 happened around the time of the solar maximum. But these other events that Alexander Chavinsky noted in this large cycle that spans several thousand years, data of information goes back 2,500 years using Chinese data that goes back, where Galileo only goes back to 1601. And so he looked at the chart and saw all these international battles, countries invaded. He himself saw people becoming very violent, the most acts of war taking place during the Russian Revolution. And so in 1917, he was putting together all this information and developing this thesis, and even looking at the effect of the different parts of the solar cycle, dividing it into 4 different parts. Somehow or another, his information got back to the oligarchy in Russia, and they threw him in jail for over 20 years. And he spent a great deal of that time doing scientific work in the coal mines. And so he was punished at that time for this amazing discovery. And I think that people that look at the New World Order as well as solar flares, those listening, there's a lot of data that we have yet to really put together that's already available. We know about the times when there were solar flares, and we know in recent years, especially with science and satellites, when there's a geomagnetic storm in progress. And we can take a look at that data and then see what events took place during those periods of time. We can go back another 10 years earlier than 9/11, and we can see the Los Angeles riots. Actually, I believe that was 1992.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't thought about all those details you were telling right now about what happened in the past, but it makes really sense because it's like, I mean, it's so similar like the solar cycles, you know, and you see it also happening in culture. It might be connected with the sun, of course. I mean, we're an organism. We depend on the sun. I mean, it's like an atom, but in macrocosmos, you know, not the microcosmos. We are part of this, so we are connected anyway. And what I have seen also, when there is a solar storm, for example, then in some part of the world there's even an earthquake or something natural disaster going on, you know. So I mean, it seems really to be connected.
As far as our discussion on the grid as well, I also wanted to add that a lot of people are attached to that 2012 date or time period, but in reality, the potential of this event has nothing to do with 2012 really. 2012 just was a perception of a change in our reality based on an interpretation of the Mayan calendar. But this whole solar flare thing is much, much larger. There's a certain amount of damage that has been done by the History Channel and the Discovery Channel. And so they should think about that before they trust the mainstream media again and look at how many people have actually been researching the sun for far longer than just the years leading up to 2012. In fact, they were talking about the potential of a kill shot solar flare before Y2K.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what I think also, I mean, mainstream media, everything is controlled, and it makes money. I mean, I saw that here in Mexico because I live here. On the 21st of December 2012, when they all were thinking there will be the end of the world, they made so much business, you know. They went to the Mayans, made parties, selling more tickets, and and stuff, and people are trying to build bunkers because they think that can save their lives and whatever. I mean, this is just. I don't know what will be the next date, but for sure they will find something else, and they will make a lot of money of this. And then you see the Nostradamus. It was on the History Channel. So many programs of the Nostradamus thing that he say the end of the world, whatever. I mean, what I can recommend is don't trust the mainstream media. Now, people or mankind can almost make the same what nature does. I mean, with the solar storms, for example, the technology exists already to have bombs. The name is electromagnetic pulse, EMP bombs, and you can make the same thing. So what I can imagine when we are really one day so much close to a very big revolution that all the people are together and say no governments anymore and make a big revolution, they will just launch some EMP rockets to switch out the power, and they will blame it on the sun. I really can imagine that they will, because the government never will say that they make the internet kill switch, because they want that we trust the government. They will say maybe there's a big solar storm reaching Earth in a while, and they will put maybe the bombs, and it's not even true of a solar storm. Maybe they did it just to keep each other, the people separated, you know. So, I mean, we cannot trust the mainstream media anymore.
Okay, we got a break, and we'll be back and continue this conversation on solar storms, solar flares, and their influence on us down here on Earth. I'm Alex Ansary. This is Outside the Box Radio on AmericanFreedomRadio.com. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Okay, now we're back. Okay, we're talking with Hans from Mexico City. Hans, continuing where you left off at, and we're going to start talking about preparing for that grid outage situation. And that's actually a good topic to address, because tomorrow, Matthew Stein from Wintech Fails is my guest. So we're going to be giving a number of perspectives on basically the same issue. So where would you like to start?
Okay. Good. I think this is the most important right now, because anyway, we cannot change politics right now. I mean, if they want to make a war, they do it anyway. I mean, even if we are protesting and don't want wars, they will do it. I mean, the important thing is that we get our lives saved, just in case of an EMP attack or solar flare attack. Because many people, they will ask, okay, it happens, okay, now there's no electricity, what else? Well, what can I do to don't die, you know? So, the most important, what I think is, like I said something some minutes ago, to find your loved ones, you know, your friends, family, make a plan A, a plan B. If plan A doesn't work, a plan B, where to unite, because there will be a lot of groups, a lot of bad people outside who just want an easy life stealing, you know. Instead of planting something, working on something, they just go with their weapons and steal your stuff. So you have to be prepared for anything of this, you know. I mean, I have seen a lot of videos on YouTube already how to prepare your things like that, going to the forest and whatever. But not many people say take weapons. But I mean, I don't like weapons at all, because they kill your lives. But in this case, I think it's very, very important to have, at least a knife or a gun or something to save your life and to save the life of your family if you're protecting your family. I mean, this is very, very important in these times, because many people are not prepared. But if you're prepared, you are one step ahead of everybody, because you will know the next step. Other people who are not prepared, they are just lost, you know. So, okay, you make an appointment where to meet with other people, so you're not alone anymore. That is very important, because you also you can have all this time we have right now before something happens. We have so much time to make plans. We can say, okay, if that happens, you're responsible, for example, for because maybe you're a doctor for health stuff, band aid, some medicine, whatever. Other person maybe for food, that some cans of beans, that they're good for years, for example. So it's not up to one person alone to look for everything of what you need, and that kind of escaping to nature again. So to be prepared means to have everything ready in the moment when it happens. Okay, next step is leaving the big cities, because that will be a battlefield. There will be, when there's no water for 3 days, people are getting thirsty. So if they're finishing stealing all the shops with the last water bottles of beer and whatever, then they are looking for surviving. And of course, if you are living in a big house with many people there, you're starting knocking the door. Do you have water? Do you have water? And if they find out that someone has water but don't want to give it, they steal it from you. They even kill you for a drop of water. So
people joke about stealing. People joke about stealing a lot. I've seen this. And so this is a good conversation to have, because you talked about Revolution, the TV show, so they've got that in the public consciousness. My friend last night also just said, you should really watch the Revolution TV shows. I'm a little resistant to watch anything the mainstream media is putting out because of the possibility of subliminal mind control in the shows. Having seen and caught so much of it, I don't want to risk being affected by it, because some of us are very sensitive beings, and we have to protect ourselves from unnecessary influence. But the zombie apocalypse propaganda, the movies about the Walking Dead, is happening concurrent to this unraveling and telling of the truth out of one side of their mouth, but distorting it on the other. And so I think the zombie apocalypse meme that we're seeing in Hollywood, and why it sticks, why people like it, is because they're not really thinking about a connection with that and the solar flares. The idea of people that are walking around like zombies because they cannibalized their brains, because they had no food, and they literally were wandering as American refugees to the next cannibal diner. I think that in this country, as large as it is, and planet, we could see some places where people are more prepared and around resources that they're able to use, and perhaps people will be in the right place at the right time for such an event, where other people that maybe attract certain experiences to them may be having an entirely different experience. And so it's definitely a time where we're going to see lots of different things at once if we see the grid go out, to see how society would change on so many different levels, from the negative, the scary, to the interesting. I think relationships would change if no longer the amount of money that a man has, if all money is wiped clean. I don't know. The way people look at each other and rate each other and value each other, it could also get scary as well, though, on that level, when everything's about survival. Long story short, it's going to be a lot of different expressions of human consciousness at that time.
Right. Many people, they know already that whatever you see on TV or in the movies, it's, in some years, many things of that thing what we see there, it's really happening. So the revolution, I saw it, and I risk myself maybe also to watch this shit, because of course there's some subliminal messages always inside, and brainwashing, whatever. But I have to see what they want to put in our brains. And actually that movie, it's not about a solar storm. It was man-made, that blackout effect. So and they're also talking about the kind of the chemtrails, that their stuff in the atmosphere, whatever. There's so many points which is actually happening right now. So that's why I found it interesting to watch that. and also to see what's going on after that, and they were forming again military groups, and the strong people. There's also good and bad, the bad people are having their army and the good people the other, and they're still fighting after that blackout and everything. So I mean, this actually could happen right now. People are trained to be prepared for a zombie attack, and the zombies will be we. Maybe not dead people, but we will eat dead people, because when we don't have food anymore, because all those stores like Walmart, they won't get any supply after solar impact, because everything will be out of order. There's no electricity, no chance to get food from factories, because nobody will work, because there's not even money there, because everything will be erased. All the computers won't work, so even if you're a millionaire, you won't have any cent, just what you have on paper, but all the other money which is just in the computers is gone, all the data is gone. So that will be a very, very bad impact. And, I mean, we have to see the way to be free from all that and continue life in a natural way like it always was, That's the most easy part to go, because if you're stuck in the system, we are fucked.
Yeah, and when I mean different expressions of consciousness, I could see also some people engaging in human trafficking and kidnapping, and I think that's a part of the preparation, because when we see them engaging in all this propaganda to get us fighting amongst each other, it seems like it's all in preparation for this potential solar event and the other event that could be coming, which I think is absolutely manufactured, and that's a world war with China.
Yeah.
Now, we can get more into this in the second hour, but I think that it's a possibility we could see these events happen at the same time, a solar event and perhaps a World War III scenario. And even more so, maybe there's a deeper reason behind why we have these large solar flares intervene in our world. I've always thought of the potential of what's to come as some sort of intervention of sorts. I'm Alex Ansary. This is Outside the Box Radio. Hans is my guest from Mexico City. We'll be back in a few.
Where are the feasts we were promised?
And welcome to Hour 2. We're going to be opening up the phone lines, 218-339-8525. I'll mention the number periodically. It's 218-339-8525. We're going to open up the phone lines if you would like to join the conversation. So we've got a lot of predictive programming for the solar flare event. However, they haven't made the right preparations. They haven't reinforced the grid, as Matthew Stein will talk about tomorrow. He's going to talk about that more at length. The question is, why is that, Hans? Why have they not reinforced the grid? Why are they just letting this thing happen? Yet at the same time, they have a DNA database that I remember reading about years ago. Just this server in the sky with all this digital information about recreating life on Earth. What the hell? Meanwhile, they got this planned trip to Mars. Meanwhile, we've got a doomsday seed vault. What do they know that we don't know? Or what are they setting the people up for? It's a really good question.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things which I also would like to know, because where is it, in Norway, or where they have that kind of ark, with all the corns and everything. I mean, it seems really they're prepared for some emergency. Also the FEMA camps. I mean, they're building stuff, and nobody still lived, or how you say, nobody's living there yet. So, but everything is prepared for some big event. So I would like to know if they're preparing for a cosmic event, like really something which is made from the sun and not man-made, or if they really want to make a war or take over, the police state, and that's the New World Order who wants to put peaceful people there, or the people who want to fight against the government. I don't know. I mean, something is, or anyway, it's happening. But I feel also because it's not normal that I mean, Mexico City, we have cameras, the Big Brother cameras, in almost every corner, and it's not for security. I think it's more for like observation. Where is maybe a rebel going, and to take him out if you're against the system. Because if it would be for security, there wouldn't be any crimes anymore because they would catch all the bad people right away. So it's not for security for us. It's for, I think, security for them, all the police. And I mean, so many changes. And I mean, I think it's more what is happening. It's man-made. I mean, they have all the bombs. They're spending more money in creating viruses instead of creating cures. So people disappearing, and not just disappearing or getting kidnapped because they want money, because they not even call you. I mean, in Mexico, there are thousands of people disappearing every day. And not rich people, famous people, it's people, young people, old people. And what are they doing with them? I guess, because I have people, I have made live streams here in Mexico, that it's not even just used for prostitution like the girls. It's also for organ traffic of organs, how you say, and for experiments. For experiments, because there are experiments. They can do it on animals, like the guinea pigs or whatever. But a virus, to see actually if a virus working like one that worked, they need also human people to test it on them, and it's forbidden. I mean, nobody will risk their lives to see if you die on that virus, So what I think is that many people who are getting kidnapped are used for this kind of dark experiments too. So there's a lot of bad things going on from the governments, because no, people won't do that.
And this surveillance society, which is global, it's not necessarily one that's just simply being built for what we believe it's being built for. If it can be filmed, it can be watched by many. And that's the thing about these surveillance databases and all this information that's being collected. There are many parties that have access to this information and may have access to this information later on.
Since I'm working on Project Lights Out, which started with environmental issues, I found out much more. I mean, in the past, I not even knew what is a chemtrail or mind control. I thought this is just conspiracy theories or people who are inventing stuff, but not, because I have made a lot of interviews with victims. And, for example, mind control is also happening in, not just right now. It's happening since a decade ago, or since I think the 40s or 50s when they started with the MK Ultra and whatever. I mean, there's so many things going on which we are all paying for, all the taxes, because this is a technology which costs so much money. All those computers, for sure, they're using, and they're taking the money from the taxpayers. So, I mean, what I really can recommend, that all these bad things stops, is go out of the system, go nature. Don't feed the beast. I always say don't feed the beast, because the beast is a new world order who just wants your money, and you're spending. When every shit you buy, every new computer, a cell phone, and whatever, they gain some money from it and put it in some technology which is affecting you later, So, but if you're your own, for example, if you have a garden, why not plant in the garden? Learn how to do that, because when there's really a solar storm coming, when it's nature, then you won't die because you have already your garden. You don't even have to leave the place you're living. But now people are getting so much separated from nature, because you get everything what you need in the store. I mean, you don't look for an apple anymore in the field. You go to Walmart and you buy those apples over there. If you want to eat something, many people, they not even have time to cook. They just go to a McDonald's and eat it there. I mean, people are losing their own creativity, because you find everything outside, But if something happened like a solar storm and all this is closed and abandoned, nobody is there anymore, no service, then people will just there will be, so what, where can I get my next apple, my juice and this and that? And maybe they have it in front, they have a garden, and they don't even know how to plant a fucking tree. Sorry for the word. But people have to leave that system and don't believe what a cell phone says and this and that. I like the technology if it's good for you, if you learn something and etc. But not put your life 100% in that technology, because if that is taken away from you, you're lost. And I have seen that in people. So, you see so many people, they have earphones, their music, they're living already in this kind of world. If you take out the power of that, they will get crazy. They will say, my music, Children playing with their, small devices, the tablets, for example. I have seen that once and another time everywhere. I see that. But when you take away that laptop or tablet from a child, they are getting crazy. They are starting shouting. It's. Once I talked with the mother. How do you punish your child when it doesn't do the homework, for example? Yeah, I take away the iPad. And then it does the work. Imagine the people are depending so much on all these electronic devices, and imagine now when nothing works anymore again, they will. It's like a drug for them, It's like when someone is on heroin and you don't give them the heroin anymore, they're getting that effect there's an old movie that the name was The Golden Arm, I think, with Frank Sinatra or something like that. And they're really flipping out and starting even killing themselves because they need it so much, And we have to learn to separate us from this kind of addiction as soon as possible, because if not, one day we will really, it will not even go to the zombie effect that people eat each other. Maybe they are killing themselves because they don't have it anymore. Like, okay, my life is useless. I don't have my iPad anymore. I cannot go to a discotheque. There's no music. They're really, what I can see or what I can imagine. Let's say when this happens, a certain amount of people they will make suicide because they don't have their life, not because they cannot eat something, because they don't see any sense of life, because they cannot send a message or watch a video or this or whatever, because they are depending already so much on that technology that they don't see anything else, And but the other part of people, let's say the part who still has some brain to think forward and thinking and how to live again, they should learn how to survive in nature. Being prepared. Let's say, you have to make a list. What do you need most? And that list, I have seen so many videos. Almost in no video they mention toilet paper, for example. And I think, okay, take 1 or 2 rolls at least of toilet paper for some emergency, because make a list what you need. Okay, if you need a toilet paper for the women when they're in their menstruation, or how you say they have all those because they cannot buy it anymore. Everything will be empty, and there won't be any production. So at least for the transportation to one place to the other, for example, from this big city to the closest forest with the sea where you have some water, at least that transportation or that way from this place to the other place, that they can survive at least those kilometers or miles they have to walk. because it's also, I think, not possible to drive anymore because if all the cables are melting, the cars won't work anymore. And so, I mean, you have to just to go from one place to the other place. Leave the cities as soon as possible because these will be battlefields. And many old people, for example, they cannot even leave the city. So, I mean, it's will be really, really very, very, very difficult to stay in the city. But what I would do is, if I would have the money, just go out right away to be in a better place, because I don't like living in a very big city either. Okay, I talked so much now. I'll talk to you.
This is a good point to recommend people go off the grid. That's something that I've been advocating for a couple of years. Through a series of synchronicities, I found a certain part of Colorado that I was in for about a year to kind of get an idea of what the demographics were like in that area, what people were like on a conversational level, their awareness level. And I found they were very much like the people of Babylon. If they were still watching TV or somewhat connected in, you can take someone out of the grid, but they're still going to have the grid in them. But as far as what was possible, as far as being so far away from a dense population center, as far as seeing land that looked like the land before time, and granted, that's a part of Colorado that's gone through a drought for many years. That's why there's not a lot of people living off the grid in that area. But I was really impressed. So I may return there or somewhere else. How this extended drought's going to go, I don't know. Hopefully it won't get so bad that area will be completely uninhabitable and that all the wells run dry. I really hope not, because there is a large aquifer above that area. But for me, it's more being low-key, doing what I've got to do to get my land at this point, and getting outside the mindset of being dependent on someone welcoming me into their compound, commune. It's difficult in today's day and age to get more than a few people or a few couples willing to work together with others. And I think if we can find those opportunities, we should. But we shouldn't overly immerse ourselves in large groups because of the conflicts that ensue. But that is ultimately why many people are trapped in the urban environment. It is easier to just join the large hive, if you will, and be a part of that religion, because it's almost religious zeal. When people believe that this AI, this machine, this beast system will always be there for them, that food stamps will always be there for them, that the disability check will always be there for them, it becomes a full-on religion full of prayer, devotion, even listening to NPR radio. They're using words like sacrifice and lots of collectivist terms in their news report about God knows what. I don't remember. I just turned on this morning, and they just kept saying sacrifice and collective, and I'm like, what the hell? But very much people are kind of sucked into this cult of being a part of a city. And I see it a lot in Portland, that people have, this whole thing about being a Portlander and what that means. And if you talk about Portland's dark side or local corruption, they'll see you as a hater. Well, we see this with people when they don't want to hear their president or their, popular Kool-Aid flavor of choice being criticized. We're really dealing with cult members that are addicted to the grid as it is. And what we're talking about is powerful because, we could be years away from this event. And this is the time for people to go out and figure out what they need. This is the time for people to turn their power out for 2 weeks and see how they can do it, see how they can get by. And what was the hardest about it? You know what they're going to find? Candles and flashlights next to, of course, toilet paper. We need plenty of that in our lives. But throwing this back in your corner, yeah, people might want to do some tests, have some adventures, have fun with it, and figure out what is it that they need and what can they live without.
Exactly. And you're so right, man, because, when I lived in Germany, for example, my grandmother was living in a farm with a lot of animals, and she not even had a TV. She was heating the stove with some wood and coal, or how you say that. When there would be a solar storm and lights out effect or whatever, she not even would have the necessity to have electricity. She could survive that. An old lady. And when I grew up there, with my friends, we still made some trips on the weekend with a backpack.
Hold it there, Hans.
Yeah.
I think we have a break coming up. We'll be back right after this. I'm Alex Ansary. This is Outside the Box Radio. We got 2 more segments to go. We'll be back in a few. Coming to you from a McDonald's parking lot. Preparing for the solar flare kill shot. Coming back to you live on a sunny day in Portland, Oregon. Where would you like to go next in the things that we should prepare for, in the things that we should add in our arsenal, or things that we should know about?
Okay. Like I was telling, when that happened in Cancun, what did I do at that moment? Okay, I met, first time in my life, really my neighbor. I knew him, and I had conversation. Okay, the thing what you have now so much is time. You know, when you're working, you don't have time for anything else. But now, without electricity, you have time. So it would be great if people, when you don't have electricity, forget your electronic games on your phones and whatever. You need maybe a chess game or cards, etc. This is something very important to have, because then you can kill some time, because if you don't have a work you cannot do other things which you normally do, so you have, you get bored maybe one day, so take out some cards, play with your friends, have fun, and then together in the union, then you can make plans. You can say, okay, let's do this, let's do that, let's work together building a wooden house, blah, 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 etc. The important thing is to be prepared, first of all, to be able to work in the equipment together again, not being separated and don't know anything. I don't know all the stuff, but maybe one friend knows another thing, another friend knows this and that, and together we can build a new village again, a new hope or whatever. Okay, but what you need, of course, to eat to eat and to drink. This is the most important, because without eating and drinking, you are not be able to live anymore. So, okay. What can be a problem is having water, because maybe in the place where you are, there's not even a river at the moment, but if you eat fruits, for example, fruits can help you, because if you eat fruits like apples, they have kind of liquid inside, so you get some...
Real quick, can you reposition the microphone again?
Okay, I don't know what's going on.
Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, just keep... rotate... I'm sorry to say, but that seems to be improving it. Yeah. when you change the position of it periodically. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Good. You should have fruits with you. At least the trip from the city to the place where you will stay. That means even before you go, you should make with your friends a plan where to go. So you have a place, and you don't have to look at the last minute. Okay, let's go there. Let's go there. No. Make a plan where to go when something like that happens. If you're living already in a little town or with a lot of nature, okay, you don't have to walk that far away. But if you're living in a big city, like I'm here in Mexico City, I have to walk a lot to be in a secure place. Okay, so at least you need to have some supplies, something to eat, to have the transport from this place to the other. That means stuff which is not that heavy, but also stuff which is okay. For example, beans in a can that can survive even years. So if you are prepared, for example, instead to buy hundreds of DVDs, buy maybe for 1 year some for some months, let's say like 20-30 cans of beans, so when that happens you have it already, everything ready to go, and you don't have to look for a store where to buy it in the last minute, because if they announce a solar flare on TV, there will be thousands of people going out to the Walmarts and all the stores and buy them. Maybe you don't even find what you need. So it's always good to have some stuff at home, or the water gallons. I have, for example, 3. Normally I just need 1, but I mean it's not that expensive, and I have water. So before something happens, always have something to survive anywhere at home. And you can use it. I mean, it's not an investment for which gets. I mean, where you spend a lot of money and it gets rotten. I mean, you can switch it all the time. For example, buy next time another 5 cans of something and use the other cans you bought last month, for example. So you always have fresh food at your home. And then make your backpack. I mean, or have your backpack ready that you just put the things there you need in certain kind of emergency, and you're prepared. Let's say you need to go with your friends when you have your plan A or plan B set, meet each other, and then just go to nature and start a new life over there. You know, I mean, the important thing is just the way from the city to the place where you want to go. So I have to transport, because once there, then you can really start together with your friends building something new and planting and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not that kind of impossible thing, you know. I mean, there are even so many videos on YouTube. They can they really teach you how to do that, you know, to find stuff what you need for a big trip or whatever. I mean, it's all on YouTube, you know, even how to plant a tree and how to cook and whatever. Because many people, they don't even know how to cook an egg, you know, because they just put it in a microwave and it's there, you know. I mean, we are so we are depending so much on that technology, but if we don't have that, people really they would be in front of their food and don't know how to cook it. You know, I mean, we really have to learn and do that, you know, because if not, we are dying in front of the food. You're still there?
We're still here, which is good, because I actually have dropped 10 times where I'm doing the show from. If you can still hear me, yes. I've already dropped 10 times as I do the show here from a McDonald's, where I'm using the internet to come to you right now. So hopefully, and the battery's about to die here, but hopefully the laptop is going to last until the end of this hour. Thank you so much for coming on from Mexico City. But you probably have, like we do in Portland, lots of cell phone towers, lots of chemtrails, lots of technology. And that's really a good reason to get off the grid. Not necessarily just for the solar flare threat alone. It's threat to the grid as we know it now, as we use it now. But all the technologies, all the ways it's interfacing with our human biological system. And one thing that I noticed a few weeks ago is a loss of sleep. I lost a lot of sleep where I used to park my vehicle, which is, you know, the home thing and now the studio here, all very small, all very micro. And I lost a lot of sleep parking next to a transformer. And so just being in the city itself, or a city like Portland, there's constantly like a buzzing that I'm noticing. And it's very subtle. So for me, living off the grid or being out in nature is about getting away from those heavy, heavy signals and having deeper and deeper states of sleep.
I don't know if you recognize a kind of sound in your ears. And I have that here in the city so loud sometimes that it's even, I mean, in the first I thought it's just an imagination or something. It's like when you go to a concert and you go back home, or from a loud place where there's like a loud music and whatever, and then you go home and you have in the head. And I have that here, and here it's not that loud. So I really think it's a technology beaming with all those frequencies, and you have that in your brain. Many people, they don't hear because they are putting their headphones with loud music, so they're already kind of deaf, you know. But I'm very sensitive, and I have that sound 24 hours. If I put out all the sounds here and I just concentrate on myself, I hear that. I have it in my head. So I really think that's kind of coming from those towers. All those
and there may be some sophisticated knowledge out there as far as applying mind control during solar flares or geomagnetic storms when they know how to affect people. I think it's very possible. And the sun isn't necessarily something that it's not like, oh, it's the direct cause of the violence. It's like when there's an imbalance in the body and someone's, already stressed out from all the technology. You add a geomagnetic storm to the situation, and someone's going to have an overload. Their body's going to go through an overload. So unless someone's aware of what's happening to them, and whether someone calls it grounding or releasing that energy some way, that makes sense why we see people in the city. I don't know if you've noticed it in Mexico City during solar flares, act a little wacky. I certainly know it's not just about the full moons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. I mean, all the people I know from the past, they're kind of different right now. They're acting different. They're living different. I mean, it's like you're living or you're knowing a clone of the people. It's not the same people like you knew before. Really, they're changing. I don't know what is the cause of that. I mean, we have to keep in mind that we're always looking for someone to say you are the bad guy. In this case, for example, the sun. All the people, maybe they put the fault on the sun. They say the sun is actually the bad guy here, but maybe it's the technology, and they just put the sun like the sun is it, I mean, it might be even here all the mind control technology they have. It's like with the UFOs, I mean, we know already that the governments, they are experimenting with so many planes and rockets and whatever. But they are saying, no, it's the UFOs, I mean, I believe in aliens, of course, but I think if all this is alien technology or aliens here, they wouldn't do all this. I mean, I don't go to another planet to make mind control or whatever. I mean, this is for me.
Well, that's a good point, because the things that we physically see are likely an extension of Project Bluebeam, but as far as the reality of whether it be what some people call the Archons or the Jinn or something else, or any of these other groups, there's the ways that humans think they operate, and there's how they really operate. So there definitely needs to be a differentiation between how aliens might actually be observing humanity and toying with humanity versus what we're seeing here with these UFOs, and where people's attention is. It seems like humanity's attention's been diverted. And then you add these TV shows and predictive programming in mainstream media, and it's easy for them to get them to focus over here and not look maybe where they could. The other thing to add, though, in our conversation of the sun, a lot of videos of UFOs going in and out of the sun, and there's more awareness of this. And the last really, really big buzz was about some big square-shaped object. And when we come back, it's the last segment. I'm going to get your take on that, Hans. What's going on with the UFOs in the sun? It's definitely something that's got a lot of people wondering. We'll be back. This is Outside the Box Radio on American Freedom Radio. Today's show. Our topic today, solar storms and you. I'm going to have a lot of the interviews archived at youtube.com/Alex Ansary, so you can go ahead and listen to some of the other guests that I've had on in the past. Yeah, Hans, this is a big wake-up call, because now the cat's out of the bag. People know that the grid is vulnerable. Some people are choosing to stay in that zombie state, and some people are instinctively showing that they sense that something's up. and that there's many signs around us. And no, it's not evidence of the end of the world, but the end of the way that things have been for quite some time. It looks that way. The question is this for a reason? It certainly feels that way. It certainly feels that we're reaching this point, and I don't think that's going to happen tomorrow. I think that we're going to continue to see mankind destroy itself as we approach this event. But as you said, it's also possible that the governments could stage such an event, or the government, or someone or something, to take out the grid and make it look like, or to blame it on, a solar flare. And we also know that they want to merge us with machines. And there's this plan for the new man of 2045. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that there would be a staged solar flare event to go along with all that predictive programming in TV shows like Revolution, and then later bring out the robots, the Terminators, bring out the autonomous cars. And there could be some crazy times there for the wild humans of the world that aren't going to be chipped, that aren't going to be going to the FEMA camp, if you will, or will not be staying in the sector that's been okayed for human habitation. There may be another or several groupings of humans that have gone their own way, and they've left society, and they're not going to succumb to the orders from the robots from the telescreens that are flying overhead, and the drones that are looking for heat signature from hiding human beings. So all these things are possible with the knowledge that we have so far, and with what we know about where technology is going. And one could really wonder, is the real solar flare anything short of a blessing, basically a blessing in disguise, to potentially reset if a real solar flare is coming, that's not the false flag solar flare, which would really be some sort of a space weapon.
Yeah. What I want to tell you also, because many people, they think a solar storm, will it be like, there was a movie with Nicolas Cage, I don't remember exactly the name, but at the end of the movie there was like a flame and everything was burning, and many people think a solar storm is with fire and destroying, but it's not like this. We not even will see it. It's like invisible. How can I say that the people understand it? It's like a frequency, let's say. It's like a wave from electromagnetic pulses. You don't see it. Maybe you don't even feel it. Even if people say, when there was a minor solar storm, I felt it. I felt dizzy or whatever. Maybe you not even feel that. I don't know, because I never have felt that. So, but we don't see it. It's just the light is off, and it's not that. Also people they think, okay, when they announce it on TV, then I will just take out or switch out or switch off the devices or take out the cable, and that's it. No. Every device inside has condensators, also with energy. I was talking with some specialists who knows about electricity, and they told me even, for example, the computers and everything, they are full with electricity inside circuits. So even if you take out the cord, the computer will burn down, because this kind of energy which will hit Earth, and if it's the natural case with the sun, it makes like it makes more power than you think. It might be like 1,000 volts or whatever, and then it's just getting hot. The cell phone and this, even if you turn it off, there's still the battery inside. It will get destroyed, everything. So you won't save not even your.
And that's something that I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's something that a lot of people want to know more about. They want to know more about specific applications. Will the cell phone survive? Will a car be able to start up? And of course, there's certain models that will after a certain year. 1976 is a year that I've been given. There are others, but people are asking questions like this. So yes, a cell phone today, as it is today, would not be able to survive.
No,
a major.
Exactly. Well, when it really happens, like the Carrington effect, I mean, I saw documentaries about that, and they had in the past very thick cables. I mean, now when we open an electric device, they're so thin you even need glasses to see them sometimes because they're so thin. So, I mean, in the past, they were burning down the offices, and they had the big telegraph cables, you know. When that energy was so strong to burn out those cables, imagine the microchips of today. They won't survive that. If they don't say that to the, I mean, normally the governments know what's going on a long time before you know it, because they have already the satellites over there, and they know it at least hours before. So. But I don't trust the government. I won't believe that they will say it on television to tell the people, guess what, tomorrow we will have an impact, be prepared, don't turn off your TVs or whatever. They won't say that because that would cause a massive panic. So what I think
By the way, there's been a couple of satellites that have been affected, either by China and their satellites and their space weapons, or from something from the sun. But there's been more stories like this. And, I just saw a story of a U.S. military satellite just went down, just was hit. They call it a catastrophic event. This is from the last few days.
Wow. No, I haven't seen that update yet. Okay, talking about the satellites. Okay, we cannot... I mean, when we get that kind of impact, forget the satellites; they will be out of order. Planes will fall down like dead birds because they're all working with computer, GPS, and this and that. I mean, it's not mechanical anymore. A plane like they invented it in the past, you know, with the Wright brothers when they. Made the first place. I mean, now it's everything with a button, you know, and they just give us a signal with a battery to the lamp and this and that. I mean, everything, also the new cars from today with the board computer won't work. I mean, when that happens, it's just like power is off, and they will fly the planes until the last drop of their kerosene is finished or whatever. And the cars until, I don't know, I mean, maybe the wheels, they will get blocked also automatically. Like.
But think about this, as we look at the New World Order, because we're going out here in about 2 minutes and the show's over, but it was great to have you on. Think about this. The military is building solar planes that live in the air, that never come down, drones that never come down. And there's a new article about this. They may have placed a lot of these underground, because some of the stuff can be shielded. They may have this stuff underground, and when the grid goes down, they're going to pull out their robotic army that literally gets its power from the sun. They've also developed robots that can eat flesh and be powered by the flesh, by the biological components. So
they prepared.
These are possibilities. What is your website again?
My website is projectlightsout.org. And on that website there are links to go to my Facebook or YouTube channel or whatever. projectlightsout.org.
Okay, projectlightsout.org. Looks like we made it in time. I was able to maintain my internet signal. What would you like to leave us with? We probably got about, I'm guessing, 2 minutes.
Okay. My last words would be: go back to nature, be with your loved ones. I mean, the New World Order, we know it exists. I mean, we know the technology exists and everything. Hate exists, and what they don't want is love and peace and happy people. They want our money. They want separate us. It's all the negative things. What is our enemy? Let's say like this. So if we are the good people are together, then maybe we can get the peace back. We can get a future back and a green planet. So we should work against the New World Order. We should be in love. I mean, love is the magic word here. It's not even magic. I mean, it's its future. It's I mean, thousands of words. I cannot even describe love. I mean, it's so.
Well, you know
so
what?
deep.
Let's do it again. We'll talk again, Hans, maybe in a few weeks, and we'll follow it up with another topic relating to humanity and society today. So we'll do that. Thank you for coming on, and goodbye to everybody out there listening. The archives are at AmericanFreedomRadio.com. You can also find my video work at YouTube.com/AlexAnsary. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.